All right. Kasu, can you speak into your mic real quick? Yeah.
Yeah, hello. What's up, everybody?
All right. Welcome to Recall Redraw, our new segment. The show or the segment where we will dive into your mind and pull out things. Let me make sure we're looking at... Where's your screen there, Kasu?
Did I not?
No, you're doing something. You're doing everything right. Let me fix it on my end. 1 sec. One second, folks.
Put in the poster of the cats and hang in there. I guess in the meantime.
Yeah, could you introduce yourself there?
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Kasu Hearts, and I am I guess, fairly prolific pixel artist in the Rivals of Ether modding community. As I take a step away from that community and start moving on, I also am a character designer. I also am a game designer of sorts. I design tabletop games in my free time, and I also just love, practicing different forms of art, whether it be digital, traditional, whether it be lower fidelity, whether it be higher fidelity. I try to put my fingers in a lot of jars.
Yeah, and then do you want to tell everyone how we know each other?
When two bees love each other very much. No, we went to school. We've known each other since we were kids. So we're saying kids because, I guess we don't associate being kids when we're in middle school.
Yeah, but I call them kids still.
Yeah, it's like you're a kid.
The ages have shifted. We're in our 30s now, where anyone in their 20s is a kid, in my opinion.
It's like, we're like a light 30. We're a light 30.
You see my drawing there, Kasu?
Yeah.
Doesn't it look just like your drawing?
It looks exactly like it, actually.
Yeah.
Or at least if I were to make a sugar cookie version of it and bake it, that's what it would look like.
Yeah. This is the image on the right is the dough that goes into the oven, and then the left is essentially what comes out. Also, let me know if the levels are okay. Caleb, I did bring the music down just a little bit, but let me know if it's still too loud.
I guess the other thing I can say is that to go back to the whole, coming from the Rivals of Ether modding community, I am responsible for a couple of OC characters. I participated in their most recent Rivals 2 character contest, where the winner of that contest was going to be chosen to be put into the new game Rivals of Ether 2. I did not win, however. I did make a great character. Her name is Amanita.
Yeah, it was like a deer character with sort
of like a druid mushroom aesthetic. It was a great experience because, you're trying to pitch a character for a company to basically buy the rights off of you, right?
That's so cool.
And they're going to get ownership, right? And the whole concept of, you're trying to fit into their box, right? You're trying to be as creative as possible, as refreshing as possible, as unique as possible, and stand out while trying to fit within their goalpost.
So what were those goalposts? What do you think, if we were to look critically at your design, what do you think you could have done in the next, let's say you did this again, what would you do differently to fit in those goalposts more?
I guess It's weird because my first inclination was I want to stand out, and sometimes when you do things to stand out, you take a risk. And the calculated risk that I took was I was going to take a character archetype that did not exist in the current roster, and I was going to design around that. Which is, there was no real like puppet fighter character where someone controlled another entity on the board.
Yeah, kind of like in Smash, the equivalent would probably be like Rosalina.
Rosalina.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was sort of my pitch, right? I leaned heavily into that. I went into some more like sinister, like I'm gonna create something like something villainous, something intense. I was gonna, use the whole like mushroom spores, fungal infection as the thematic element for it, so that it matched with the Earth theme, but in a way that was completely unique. The other thing, though, is that you also want to provide something that is satisfying to play gameplay-wise. So that's the big hook for them. It's like, not only are they buying a character, but the character still has to work within their gameplay, their framework of the game, right? And I think that's where, I struggled the most in terms of designing the character because, you go back and forth on designs of like what's going to be perfect, what's fun. And we went through a lot of iterations, and I'm satisfied with what came out, but I know that I probably would have done something different if I had a second shot at it, because I'd probably do something a lot easier.
Yeah, but you did
do something a little bit more. Yeah.
But you had a solid design. I'm trying to, in the spirit of this segment, and we'll get into it a little bit. I'm trying to remember how you drew. What was your character's name again?
Amanita.
Amanita.
See if I can just do it from my
memory. Let's warm up a bit before I kind of reveal what the conceit of this show really is about. It's a trap, actually. I'm actually here to study your brain, Kasu. If you'll allow me to. I probably should ask people for consent if I can study their brain. Yeah. That's probably step one.
People don't know. I've been in such popular experiments as the Russian sleep experiment. You might have heard of that one.
Do you have a series of code words that like?
That was me.
Were you the Russian sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's
Is that what that means?
Yeah. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, so that's why I can't really say anything about it. I'm definitely referencing a horrific creepypasta.
You're yes. Where is it? Wasn't it like a Spirit Halloween toy?
Yeah, it was like a Spirit Halloween toy. Yeah. Looks like somebody asked about the links to my social.
Yeah, please post, and then we'll get into it. But we're kind of already getting into the flow of what this segment is about. So. Recall Redraw is a way for me to reach out to artists that I know, get into their brains a bit, and ask them a bit about their career in drawing, or not even just their career, just kind of how they grew up drawing, the kind of stuff that influenced their work. And while we do that, we're going to be in a friendly competition, trying to remember how to draw certain characters from certain series based off of a secret theme. That, of course, it's not secret to me because I have to choose these themes. Maybe in the future, we can get the audience to pick the themes for us. But I have to pick a theme. I try my best not to look anything else about it. But it's a theme that I know is important to Kasu and to ourselves that we can both work off of. And we're going to reveal the theme. Are you ready, Kasu?
I guess I'm ready as I can be. That's why I'm here, right?
And the theme for episode 1 of Recall Redraw is...
2 dogs in the trench coat.
There we go. I don't know if you're watching the stream, Kasu, so I don't know if you have the context, but it's Starfox, folks.
Oh, let's go!
So, round 1 of Recall Redraw. I'm going to challenge you to draw a character of my choice. You're going to challenge me to draw a character from memory of your choice. And it's always fun if we can stump, but also we can be friendly about it. But I would love to be able to stump you. How well do you remember this game? Or when was the last time you remember playing it, or the first time you remember playing Starfox?
So there was a there's a summer that I spent essentially every single day. I would come home and I would play Starfox 64. Literally every single day I would do this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just, because I didn't have any friends at the time and I felt like I needed some routine to keep me sane, or if I was legitimately like, if I guess I ran out of ants to burn alive with a magnifying glass outside, so I would just come inside to play Starfox. But
I thought it was gonna get darker. I thought you were gonna say you ran out of your aunts and your uncles. Like, well, yo, this is getting dark.
Yeah, I just, there's no more cigarettes to burn out on my forearms. But essentially, it's, it became one of my favorite little comfort games because I could always just open it up and play it. And it sort of extended as I became such a big fan of just playing Starfox 64. It was one of the games I spent the most time on N64. When I learned that they made a sequel, and I'm not talking about Star Fox Adventures. I actually did not know Star Fox Adventures existed, period, for the longest time. I was immediately keyed into a game called Star Fox Assault on the GameCube, which ended up becoming my favorite GameCube game ever. It is just, it has everything that I like about Star Fox. It adds some stuff that I really wanted out of Star Fox. The characters are so well done, the story is so well done, the thematics, the presentation, everything like that. So it's a very big part of my childhood in terms of like building who I am.
That's fantastic, and I already kind of knew that about you, which is one of the reasons that I picked this theme. So if I wanted to challenge you with something that was maybe not of the main crew, because I feel like that'd be a little bit of an easy mode. I was thinking of challenging you with Bill. Can you picture Bill in your mind?
So, okay, here's the problem. It's like, in my head, I'm like, Bill is either a dog or a monkey.
They're all either dogs or monkeys.
I think he's a dog because he's a good guy. The whole thing is that the Star Fox is actually legitimately very like speciesist in terms of like the what sides that people take as what species they are, right? So like, all the primates and stuff side with Andros and whatnot, and everybody else is part of the Cornerian fleet, right? So he's got to be a dog.
So he is not. I think he's a rat, or maybe I'm remembering this wrong. That's the whole point of this episode.
There's no way.
I thought he was a rat. I thought Bill was he had like rat ear. We are gonna check our work, but okay, I'm gonna give you Bill, and then who do you want to challenge me to redraw from memory?
Okay, this was a funny one. I could. All right. So I think I kind of want you to do. I feel like maybe it'd be more in your wheelhouse to do like a classic character. Let me think about it. There's two in particular. Yeah, you know what? Let's do Faye.
I have no idea who Faye is. Wait, is this in 64? It has to be in 64.
Okay, it has to be in 64.
Yes,
okay,
has to be in 64. Bill is from 64. Okay. Yes. Because I have to pick
okay.
themes that I also can recognize and participate in.
Right. Okay. Darn. Okay, so that closes it up quite a lot because a lot of the expanded universe stuff is really cool but that's in the other games like Command and Assault and all this stuff. When you're looking at 64, it's very much of the ideology of like we're going to sort of reintroduce everybody to Star Fox because essentially it takes the same pacing as like the SNES games. So
yes.
They basically just did the SNES.
It's a remake or a remaster essentially, right?
Yeah, it's essentially just like it's just the same thing, but it's obviously it's on the N64, it's just better, right? But it's got a lot of the same beats, a lot of the same vibes. So I think I'll go with let's have you do Leon.
All right.
I feel like Leon's fairly easy to remember, but also just he's just a fun character.
Yeah, let's do it.
To draw, I imagine. Yeah.
All right. So you're doing Bill, which I'm pretty sure is still a mouse, but I just want to see the comparison of when we finally reveal what these things look like. But let's do it. So you said that, you know, it was the game that you played the most, or was it even the game you played the most after school? Like, what was your rotation for the N64?
Okay, so it would be up there, but it's also a game that, like, I think it's different because, like, there are games that I spent more time with, right? And those would be games that had more, like, baseline replayability. Like, I played a lot of the WWF games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wrestling games were pretty much on 24/7 for me as a kid. So I wouldn't doubt that you know, No Mercy is my number one game on the N64.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of games that I've sat there and I've beaten, and I've spent the most time just beating, it would definitely be Star Fox. Star Fox 64 is absolutely just like, I sat there and I would just beat it over and over and over and over again. I would, you know, say all the lines, and I would, you know, remember like all the routes that you had to take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a fun experience as a kid because, like, you really applied yourself to something. And I didn't have a lot of different titles growing up because I was sort of a hand-me-down kid where it's like I would only get consoles
100%.
And stuff if like a cousin or something was, like, you know, letting me borrow it or whatever, right? So like the N64 was pretty much my home console.
Yeah, no, I have the same kind of experience where it's funny because you know, you and the rest of our buddies really enjoyed wrestling. I never did. Like, my brothers would wrestle with me. I enjoyed, like, the lore and the stories. Like, it was very superhero in the way that, like, a lot of these characters look to me, but the actual wrestling I didn't really enjoy. And so when you're the youngest of four and your siblings only have, like, No Mercy, WCW versus whatever the NWO, like, I'm just like, I was making characters like Ryu and Ken inside and like Sub-Zero in those games in the character creator because I wanted to play anything that wasn't a wrestling game,
Like a real wrestler. Yeah.
And so the only time I ever actually played, like, stuff like Mario 64 or like Star Fox was when a friend would let me borrow it, and I'd only have it for maybe like a few days, and it would just kind of be like I'd only get like a taste of it. And Star Fox was definitely one of those where, like, the cast of characters, like, was I absolutely fell in love with, and maybe not until I was at least 18 did I get a copy to just play on my own. Again, not even on my own N64, on my friend's N64. Also, just really sorry, on my brother's N64. Also, really quick, I want to thank C. Hello C. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate you. We're currently drawing Star Fox 64 characters from memory. I've given Kasu Bill, who I'm pretty sure is a dog, but and then Kasu's giving me Leon, who I'm pretty sure is a chameleon. Again, the whole point of this show is memory is foggy, not always the best memory that we have. But,
you know, I want to just say that this pick is quite evil because not only do I have to commit to the fact that he's likely a dog, right? But I have to commit to the abstraction of what kind of dog he is, right? So
right.
It's like, is he a pointy-eared dog or is he a floppy-eared
just
dog?
the two types. Trust me, when I drew for Puppy Night, those are the same questions I was asking. Is it pointy or floppy? There's hardly any in between. Did you ever watch I Think You Should Leave?
No, but I popped on the first episode, but I guess I just I was doing something else. I didn't really.
There's a skit of this guy who's gone on a first date, and he takes a photo of, like, Bryan Cranston to his barber and says, "I want my hair to look like him, like a nice tough guy." But the barber doesn't see Bryan Cranston; he sees the dog that's behind Bryan Cranston, and so he gives him, like, a long perm to make his hair look like the kind of, like, curly dog ears you see in a Cocker Spaniel. And the whole premise of the joke is that this guy's going on his first date with the hair of a dog, which honestly, my hair gets like that. I look like a Cocker Spaniel when I get out of the shower.
I mean, I guess for some people that would be like a plus, right? It's like, oh, you remind me of like a cute cuddly dog, right? But like maybe when they say dog, you can interpret it as like oh, so I'm like, am I a mangy mutt? Like, can you be more specific? Like, oh, I look like a dog. Like, do I look like one of your dogs? It's like, is that what?
Can you be more?
What are you
can you be more specific? Am I a straight ear dog or am I a curly ear dog?
Am I a purebred? Can you tell me, please?
So
Did you get me from a barn like Snoopy?
So I'm making Leon here a little sassy, a little lion, because he is sassy, right? I guess they're all kind of sassy with their quips.
Yeah, I think what's fantastic about Leon is that he's very much a very camp sort of like.
Yeah.
Like he's like
he calls himself
the
great Leon. Like,
yeah.
Then why aren't you head of Star Wolf? Why isn't it called Star Leon?
And as much as I love the Assault voice acting, I think they really nailed it in 64 because his voice acting is very like,
yeah, very hoity-toity.
Yeah, and I think they really nailed it with that one because in Assault he's just like, I'm Leon, I'm scared, and it's like, who is this guy?
What's his last name? It's Polanski.
It's like Pawalski.
Leon Pawalski.
Yeah, it's like Pawalski. Wow. Yeah.
I have to think like I have not. I've seen many retrospectives and histories about like the making of like Donkey Kong Country and Mario Brothers, but honestly I have no knowledge about like what was like the inspiration behind like these anthropomorphic like animals. Like why like they created such an aesthetic that I feel like a lot of folks still gravitate towards in regards to like what an anthropomorphic like or furry kind of like style could be. And like I don't know, there's this kind of element of like Top Gun, and maybe that's where they got it from. Maybe they were thinking about Top Gun a lot. Kind of the
it's a little bit like, I mean, like, obviously you're leaning into the pilot aspect of it, but I think like the heavy sci-fi vibes as well, where it's like it's very obvious like what they're pulling from, at least from just having text scrawls and all that stuff. Like you start to think about, okay, yeah, it's Star Wars, and this is Star Wars, that is Star Wars, that, yeah, I mean it's sort of evocative of the whole like trench run kind of thing, where it's like you have all these pilots and all that stuff. It's very much trying to give you that feeling throughout the entire game, right? And I definitely get more of that than I do of like Top Gun, I guess.
I see.
But I think it's mostly because Top Gun, I technically don't really associate Top Gun with any of the piloting that happens.
Yeah.
It's mainly just a vibes movie
that
happens to be about pilots.
It's the bomber jackets of Top Gun that made it into Starfox, I think. Like something about like that kind of like, I wouldn't say specifically the military aspect part of it, even though the military is a part of
Air Force.
Yeah. Which is still part of military, but it's just like it's there's this kind of it's the flavor of Air Force that I think I'm tasting in the early Starfox games, because I don't even know if the original NES Starfox even had that vibe of like Air Force. I think it just felt like an R-wing, like a Star Wars kind of thing.
Well, yeah, if you kind of like think about it, it's like also think about Japan in terms of like their consumption of sci-fi and whatnot. So it's like obviously have like Star Wars as an influence, but it's like there's a lot of space opera anime and mech and all that stuff where they were playing around with a lot of these aesthetics and whatnot. So it's like it's almost like you're two steps removed from Star Wars, because it's like now you're seeing something that's being adapted that may have taken its inspiration from like a space anime that happened to also be inspired by Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think you're right.
You trickle down sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely downplaying the amount of sci-fi anime that probably was a big influence in the development.
I'm gonna commit to it. It just seems wrong to me for him to be a floppy ear dog. it has to be pointing at your dog. There's no way.
I feel like
no
the
way.
floppy ears it was just relegated to Sergeant Pepper.
Yeah. And part of me is like, well, Wolf is sort of like pointy eared, so maybe am I just remembering Wolf? But I'm like, I think they didn't want to make too many models that were different anyways.
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah. It was just rehashed kind of deal.
Yeah.
Did Starwolf have like Super Saiyan visors? Am I remembering that correctly?
So the thing is that like it's a fight that happens, a dog fight that happens where essentially they just get messed up. They super messed up.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have like cybernetic
back.
Yeah, that's right.
They come back for it. Like that's the story beat for that.
Actually, that's kind of I think I'm gonna add that element in here too. Post beat up Leon Powalski. I forget what I was watching that like it was something about how like a lot of narratives of like, you know, same thing, Starfox or like any kind of piece of media that is fantasy or sci-fi but makes references to like the real world. Like whenever like somebody from like some Isaac Asimov like book says like oh my god, and it's like, oh, okay, there's a Christian god in Isaac Asimov's like universe, which actually I think there is. But like the name like Powalski, I'm just like there's an Eastern Europe in the Starfox world. It's like there's like McCloud, like there's very Earth like histories that they're making allusions to that they don't really.
But think about it like this way, like maybe it's not that. Maybe it's like the lizard planet that Leon comes from. Like that's just the way that their names were.
Sure.
The way they're
I mean,
pronounced,
it could
right?
just be like there was this really great bit, and I love Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And one of the jokes that he writes in his books is about how like there's just a planet called like, I don't know, something like Nottingham or something, like some random like town in England. Like there's just a planet that just by sheer coincidence of probability has the same name as some random small town in England, even though they don't have
absolutely.
any of the history. So we're just looking at an alternate history of coincidence that, you know, Starfox.
Or it's like it brings to mind sort of like almost like a Rick and Morty-esque joke where it's like, you know, Rick Sanchez comes up to a planet and it's like, all right, Morty, this is New Jersey planet.
Yeah,
it's just New Jersey again.
Yeah, or it doesn't even have to be New Jersey. It's just like it's just called that, and it's just like the likeliness of hold on, we got a bot. The likeliness of like it just generating out in the world. Yeah, it just happens.
If you generate enough planets in No Man's Sky, you eventually just get New Jersey.
Yeah. Like if you generate enough Minecraft worlds, you're gonna get a seed that generates the word. It'll just generate New Jersey like for you automatically.
Yeah, it's like eventually you get enough like pieces of toast that one of them looks like Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know about you this way, but I feel like I might be nailing the vibe of Bill right now.
You might be right. Maybe who am I? I think was Bill a French bulldog? He might have been. Now here's the thing about memory is that it's so malleable. Like I don't know what's real anymore. You know? I thought Bill. I could have sworn Bill was a rat. We're gonna find out.
I think the most like the craziest thing for me is the fact that I can't even remember if there is a single rat.
It would be the only. He would be the only rat. If there was any rat, it would be Bill.
But that's why it's like far-fetched. Where it's like, if I remember Bill as a dog, and somebody is saying that Bill was a rat, but I don't remember a single rat in Starfox. the idea of that drives me crazy.
It's just like it's the idea that like yes, I think you put it out pretty well that like they could only fit so many models in the RAM of the cartridge, that like of course like they could only have dogs, apes, and the 4 main characters, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to think what we can. I want to put more stuff on, like I want to give like Leon an Eva suit in a way. Maybe just decorate.
I feel like that's just an incredible vibe there, because it's like I genuinely am like a huge fan of character designs that include a bodysuit. Like I've always been drawn to those types of characters. Like it's such a cool thing in fighting games, because like, you know, one of her characters, Nina Williams, she basically wears like this, you know, sort of stealth bodysuit. When you look at action games like, you know, the Solid Snakes of the world, or you know, the Raidens or whatever, right? They've got these cool bodysuits. It's such a cool trope in genre, and yeah, I like, you know, it's also great for designing characters, because you start with something that essentially shows off the figure of the character, so you can emphasize the body shapes that you're using, as the silhouette, like the different, like, you know, you have a very like say you have a very like triangular shaped character that really stands out when you have like a bodysuit kind of thing, right? It's the same thing with, you know, superheroes, right?
Have you played not It Takes Two, Split Fiction yet?
No, it's still on the buy thing. I got sidetracked because South of Midnight just came out.
That's true. That's right.
Yeah, I'm like gonna be playing that tonight with Devin. So
that's cool. The reason I bring it up is because like half of the Split Fiction is sci-fi, and they did such a great job with a lot of the models for those. You're gonna see a lot of those really cool bodysuits in that game when you get to play it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. It looks so fun. Also, I didn't start the piece like this, but I kind of am just exploding Bill.
Yeah. And he's in because Bill, if I remember correctly, is not only just a rat, but he's also in that mission where like it's like an invasion happening, right? Like the
yeah, and he's like you're if you're there, you can save him and whatnot.
That's right.
Like,
that's right. Yeah.
He's one of those things where it's like it's just an NPC where you become you're incentivized to save him, because, you know, it's another person that feels like they're assisting you against these insurmountable odds about these, you know, enemies and whatnot, right?
Which is a really cool like gimmick to put in a game that doesn't support like crazy AI. Well, the AIs were okay, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, it's like they have, you know, basic behavior, but, you know, it's essentially there because, I mean, you know, it's still children's game, so you're essentially there to just kind of shoot things down so they don't kill them, right?
Yeah.
And they introduced that whole concept at the beginning of the game, right? So like when you're doing that first Corneria run, and you know, Slippy's like, and you save Slippy, right? That's introducing to you that something could happen, right? Because let's say that you know, your mom got angry at you for not finishing homework before you started the game up, so you immediately shut the game down, and you're like, oh, I guess I'll just start it, you know, next time, right? Because there's no save. And so you get back on the game and you try the same mission and you don't slay Slippy, and that, you know, that sort of affects you the whole time, right?
Yeah,
so it's
totally.
like it's sort of introducing that mechanic to you, and then when you get to Bill, it's like, you know, it's the sort of the culmination of that.
Yeah, it makes it even more special when, like, if I remember correctly, you save the character Kat from one situation, and then she appears in a different planet to clear away or defeat some tricky enemies. That's incredible. That kind of stuff always sticks with you.
Yeah, and it makes me feel like sort of what Nintendo did with Fire Emblem, they could have very easily did with Starfox, where it's like, you know, they still know what the gameplay is supposed to be, right? Like, this is what this franchise is supposed to be, right? But we have this whole idea of like, oh, well, you know, people became so drawn to these characters and to the idea of these characters interacting with each other. Why not make that a large part of the game, and like have social segments of the game, right? And I feel like Star Fox would have really benefited from that, because there's so many characters, and a lot of them are so interesting. and yeah, having the whole management thing about like making sure that everybody's happy and maybe like everybody's giving you different boosts. And I think they kind of play like, so Command is the only one that I didn't personally play myself because I just didn't own it, right? But I know that had somewhat of a group collection thing where you had people on your team, but I don't know for sure since I didn't actually play it. But yeah, I think like Starfox could really benefit from that because it's just got such colorful characters.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you have that great of a cast, like lean into it. But again, the limitations, right? So.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I think we're gonna give this first one a little more time. Do you want some time to color your piece there, Kasu?
Yeah, I'll just do like a quick color, and then I should be good.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and try to find us some. I'm trying to see what's the best way to show the actual design. Hold on. You go ahead and do that. I won't spoil whether he's a dog or a rat.
Or he's got floppy or pointy ears.
Yeah, that's actually more important, is whether he has floppy or pointy ears.
I can still get away with it, I'm gonna say red hat. That's gonna be my pick.
Should I pull, because Starfox 64 only has the like portrait art, but there's like like Melee had like they have full body like statues of Leon, and like I'm wondering which one I should pull.
So if it was Melee, they might be using the 64 designs, so I think that should be fine.
All right, I'll pull that.
But I mean, there's no harm in having both images open, probably, right?
And then all right, I got him. All right, while you color that, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna see how I did with my Leon here. And check it out, sassy levels. Pretty good. Pretty sassy. So what I don't know if you can see there, Kasu, but what game is this particular like model
That
from?
one's from Assault.
Okay.
That one's for sure from Assault. They had more of like a tech like suit kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
As opposed to the standard like bomber jackets everybody had.
Let me see if I can pull the portrait out. Also, I'm also digging through a shit ton of AI generated search results, so this is why it's taking me just a little bit extra time. And we have this guy here. Caleb says, oh, sorry, you're the auto mod. No, you didn't say a bad word, Caleb. You said girl boss. It got tagged as misogyny, which is, I thought, I don't think that's right. Can I accept it? How do I accept? Okay, thank you. I think Stevie permitted it. Yes, I'd say so. Leon is very girl boss. If given the opportunity, he probably would have tried taking over Starwolf, or if Pigma didn't try killing Leon first.
I think Leon feels like the kind of character that like respects it. It's like, oh, you tried to kill me. I would have done the same.
But I'm the great Leon. I feel like he's too full of himself.
I also think he's like very needy, so it's like he needs a crew around, but he doesn't want to be like the leader.
Right.
He's like, I only let you be the leader.
He's a big fish personality in his little pond.
Yeah, like the responsibility of like, because I mean, I feel like a lot of being the leader of Starfox isn't just who shoot the best, who hunt the Fox McCloud the best, right? It's a lot of logistics.
It's about being a leader. You have to fill out the requisition form. You have to count the inventory of like, how the ships are doing, what kind of like, bombs or plasma blasters you need. Like it's hard work. Leon, Pigman, especially, what's his name, Andrew? Like they're just they're just a bunch of freeloaders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andrew's nepotism, straight up nepotism.
Yeah, Andrew's straight up nepotism. Pigma is, he's a generational freeloader because he freeloaded for 2 crews already. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready to be. I'm ready to be disappointed.
Well, not disappointed, cause, and I think this might also be from Assault. 1 second here. But Kasu, you were right. Bill is a dog.
Yeah, but what about the most important question?
It is floppy ears. I'm so sorry. You did fail.
Oh, I literally started. With floppy ears.
But you got the helmet down. It's funny. You wrote a B on there, but there's a C on his helmet for some reason.
Okay. So here's the thing. So this render is from Command.
Okay, let me pull.
I need you to find Starfox 64.
Yes. And actually, it'll also show you why I thought it was a dog. Sorry, that I thought it was a rat. Why I thought it was a rat, because take a look at this portrait. How does that not look like a rat? It's
Okay, let's see. Oh wow, that's.
Do you see why I thought that sprite was a rat?
Well, let's wait. You know who that is, right?
Who is that?
That's
Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay. So who am I drawing? Why do I remember there being a D with a B on his?
You know who had a B? Probably one of the Andros goons. Like they had they had a B for some reason, but it might just be like their squadron. But you see even in this, I'm just gonna redline the drawing here. He has the arrow on the helmet. I don't know what the C is from. I'm just gonna check the wiki real quick to see if he's like from. I mean, he's from Corneria, so it's probably the Cornerian like Air Force logo on there. But yeah, I thought it was a rat. They do very much show floppy ears here.
Yeah.
So that's solid. I think it's his great coloring that makes me think that he's a rat.
I cannot believe it. I cannot believe how off I was.
But I loved your French bulldog interpretation of Bill.
Yeah, and I had fun killing him.
All right, so we're a little over halfway our time, but now we're gonna go to the second portion, which is the redraw portion, where essentially we're gonna decide on one character design to both redraw and interpret, and we're not even trying to redraw from memory. We're gonna look at the reference, and we're gonna punch up the design to how we, our design sensibilities see fit. So who do you think would be good? We should probably do a mainline crew guy, right?
Yeah, that sounds like a good pick. I mean, do we want to go with a Starwolf dude or a Starfox crew?
I think we did a Starwolf guy already. Let's do Starfox.
Okay. Does it have to be 64?
I guess not. I mean, we can pull from. I can bring the image in from.
Because if you wanted to bump up your stream numbers, I think we just do Crystal.
Okay, let's do Crystal. All right.
Here we go.
Let me. I gotta tag the stream so it says that we're drawing. Let me pull a photo.
Crystal, Starfox, Blue Vixen, whatever like keywords pop up.
And then let's make sure we're using the same. All right, this Google search.
Oh yeah, I probably should have. Yeah, maybe type in Starfox wiki first.
Yeah. Okay. Let me. I mean, this is with Safe Search on. Give me 1 second here.
Just be glad the stream is focused on the your art program.
Let's do. Yeah, exactly. That's why people come here, is for the art program. Let's do. Did she show up anywhere else besides?
So it's Starfox Assault, Starfox Command. I believe she is not in Zero, but like usually, like when most people think about Crystal, it's Starfox Assault.
Let's do. Let me see here. Let's do this one. Tell me if this is right or if this is a fan interpretation. And then maybe if you have a separate screen, you pull up the same reference image on your end. Let me get rid of these here.
Yeah, that's from Assault.
That's from Assault? All right, let's do this one.
Yep. Perfect.
All right, and then trying to make sure that you can all see my screen. Hopefully, I mean, this is the first time I'm using a dual screen layout, so hopefully I haven't been drawing off the screen for y'all in the audience.
It's like, oh yeah, Leon looks great. It's just a blank white screen.
All
He's
right.
using his chameleon.
Yeah,
skin.
exactly. Easiest fan art ever. All right, so tell me about this character, so I know the history of this game originally being a dinosaur like adventure game that was reskinned or repurposed to be a Star Fox game.
Yeah, so, just the TLDR is that, Rare was making Dinosaur Planet, which featured a separate protagonist and had this sort of like, Fox Princess character. And then once Rare was in talks to Nintendo, and Nintendo decided, hey, like, rebrand this as Star Fox, right? Because everything's just kind of lines up, right? There was also sort of this, suggestion that, hey, like, what if you made the Fox Princess character really sexy?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like actual.
Is this
like,
straight from Miyamoto?
This is like the things that actually happened, where it's like, oh yeah, if you make it a sexy character, it'll be cool, right? It wasn't even like based on market research or anything like that, right? It was just a vibe where just make this chick pretty hot, you know what I'm saying, right? And they go on their Japanese business trip to the sushi place or whatever, right? And yeah, then they just were like, okay, I guess we're doing that now. Funnily enough, you only spend like 30 minutes or so playing as her in adventures before you just play Fox for the rest of the game.
Oh, really? You don't even? I thought she was like one of the main characters.
She spends most of the time trapped in ironically enough, a crystal.
Oh, that's funny. You think that's where the name came from?
No, I think that's just really interesting coincidences. But yeah, no, she sort of like she got kept on because she became like very popular design-wise, right? And in Assault, they made her a fully fledged character, and she fit in really well because she's a sort of an empath character, and in a way, she sort of fits in that space where, if for the people who watch Star Trek out there, right? Deanna Troi from
the kind of like a therapist, counselor,
right?
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And there's this like this very compassionate sort of energy from her, yeah, she's just a fan favorite, like not just from her design, but her place in the story, and of course everybody loves her romance with Fox during the whole thing too, because they do it pretty well. Yeah, I mean, like it's sort of a standout character for the series. I don't think anybody expected it to, because I mean, yeah, the original origin of the character being like, oh, make sexy fox lady, let's go. But she's genuinely so cool.
And what is so as a result though, now there's like a species of dinosaur in the Star Fox universe, right?
Yeah, well, it's like because there's a dinosaur planet was on its specific planet, and it's like the whole thing is like dinosaur civil war, right? And
I did not know about the dinosaur. So is that how the dinosaurs went out?
yeah, it's like, well, it's like no, it's no, they're still living. They're still living, actually. You know, they they didn't have it as bad as our dinosaurs, right? But specifically, there's like these Triceratops people that one particular little infant Triceratops. His name is Tricky, and interestingly enough, when Rare was making this game, Tricky was actually a
it was a Rare
Easter egg.
game.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
when in Diddy Kong Racing,
Oh,
there
that's
is a
tricky.
yeah, there is a Tricky in Diddy Kong Racing. Makes appearance in Star Fox Adventures, and then later on in Star Fox Assault, you go back to Dinosaur Planet or whatnot, or a planet. I don't remember if exactly it's Dinosaur Planet or if it's one that's similar like that. But Tricky's there, and his whole people are there, and it's great because like it's the portion of the game where they're like, oh, so like Halo is really hot right now, so we're gonna have a sci-fi shooter, and you're gonna be running around on this planet shooting stuff up. Very cool stuff.
Oh wow! So this game came out when the Xbox was like taking the console wars by storm.
Yeah, and I mean, if you really think about it, it's really funny because
oh, it's GameCube. That's right. It's GameCube, not N64.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. At the same time, Rare was already with Microsoft, right? So they had made Conker's Bad Fur Day Reloaded, which essentially gave you their own sort of version of the Star Fox multiplayer like shooter dynamic thing. Very, very cool. Gotta get started. I got too carried away with talking.
I wasn't even looking at your screen. I've been doing a lot of figure drawing, and it's been really helpful in kind of finding more organic shapes for bodies. So I've still a lot to learn, but even a little bit has helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like I think everybody has their own process for the most part for this stuff, especially if you're self-taught too, right?
Yeah,
so like
exactly.
everybody has their own like little tricks and whatnot. Because I think I'm also falling into the purview of being just completely self-taught for the most part. And yeah, I've always loved doing like studying American comic books and whatnot. So like just watching bodies in movement and the anatomy of bodies has always been something that I've liked, and I like to think is sort of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I've built my comics career in using amorphous blobs to be the bodies of my dog characters. So I for me it's definitely been more of a new experience, focusing kind of on like how the arms or pieces of the arms overlap. I've had a good hold on drawing volumes for a good while now, but really learning how the body kind of pieces together is something that I'm happy to finally start getting a handle of. I think I got a decent pose. I think the other arm would kind of come up like this, actually. I'm trying to think of like maybe the other arm comes out like this. I have kind of bringing back to the subject of like the kind of games that we grew up with, and like this idea of like hand-me-down games, and you know how that kind of affects what you are exposed to at certain times. And maybe like, you know, I never had a GameCube, but I have art in my old sketchbooks of Paper Mario characters, and only because I was like really into like I didn't have the games, but I would look them up on the internet or like magazines like Game Informer. Like I love the Paper Mario style, but my only experience of it was through like websites like Spriter's Resource or something that had like, oh, here's all the bosses for Paper Mario. And I love looking at stuff like that. I love looking at enemy bestiaries on game manuals or online catalogs. And that's kind of how I developed, like, I don't know, like my knowledge of a lot of Mario games for someone who hasn't played a lot of them. And I didn't start playing GameCube games until until maybe 4 years ago when Switch Online released a couple of games on the catalog.
Yeah, I had so many like moments where like I remember as a kid just like looking at my game manuals and just being like copying art. Like I think the one catalyst for it is like the first like I guess the first real console that I fully was like fully aware of, because I got my N64 when I was like a super little kid, right? I had
do you mind if I ask how you got it? Like, who was it? Like a present or like hand me down?
Super funny story actually. So just one day, I guess I was old enough where my dad thought that I could, enjoy playing a video game of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's nice,
so bought me and my little brother, because this is like right after my little brother was born.
Mm-hmm.
So got the console for us, and the first game that he got for me was Mega Man 64, which is interesting because it is a game that I could not understand as a kid, and I was scared of it because it's the one Mega Man game that starts you off in like a super messed up dark dungeon. And so I was like, this is scary, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And the other game that he got me was like Turok 64, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, no. I think the Mega Man one came later. That one I had to return.
Turok.
There's a different story for that, but it was Turok.
Turok didn't scare you?
No, Turok was terrifying. So we had to go back. And then get me a different game, and that game ended up being Mario Kart 64, and that is like pinnacle moment right there for me, because it started my love for Mario, and it started my love for video games, and also like I guess it's just like the fact that it was such a colorful thing that didn't need a story or anything like that. It was so much easier for me to play because it was just like I started up and I just raced, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I lose, and too bad, I'll try next time, right?
Tell me a bit about this Bomberman scenario.
Oh, the Mega Man thing?
Or the Mega Man, sorry.
Yeah. So essentially later on, I ended up getting a Mega Man 64 from Kmart, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm so excited. I can't wait to play this, right? And I played it, and I just couldn't understand it because I was just like, I guess I was just dumb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, we went back, and I was like, you know what? Give me Mario Party 3. And so my mom got me Mario Party 3 from Kmart, and again, just another like, oh, always bet on Mario, but Mario's the man, so we just, another great game, part of my childhood. But that whole like period of time where I was buying a bunch of Mario games as a kid, they would come with the manuals, right? And I was so enamored with the art style that I would trace, I would redraw, I would like, copying these Mario characters became second nature to me, essentially.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so I think I got sort of like the general shape that I want, so I'm gonna stick with that, start sculpting it down.
So what are Crystal's powers in the game? Is it also to manifest crystals? Is that also part of the
No, she just shoots people. I mean,
okay.
You have a gun and you use it, right? That's Star Fox Assault, right? Star Fox Assault is very, you look at like Link with the Triforce, or Mario with the stomps. No, Fox just walks up to stuff and just blasts it. It's great. With Crystal specifically, her whole thing is that she's like sort of an empath, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like combat-wise, she's always been associated with the staff and like magical abilities from Star Fox Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
But she sort of drops that afterwards, right?
Oh, so she doesn't have that,
Yeah, in Assault, she's like, screw that, I've got a rifle.
Yeah.
And in the game itself, Star Fox Assault, there is a multiplayer mode where you get to play up a character, and then they have a certain bonus, and in a way, it's her power. So her bonus is that she gets more force fields. She's a more defensive sort of like character. So it's like that. It's weird because it's like, oh yeah, it's like almost like a pacifist sort of power, but like to win the games, you still have to kill each other.
Right. What would you hope for in a more and we talked a little bit about this, but like, you know, in a more modern Star Fox, like what would the next Star Fox game look like to you?
So I mean, my thing is that I would have loved a fully featured like world to kind of adventure into. Like, you know, if you could always come back to Corneria and just see what's going on. And I would have loved to have a game that really sort of is in the middle of a galactic conflict. So it's like affecting like, you know, metropolises and all that stuff, where it's like all of the conversation and the unease of war and all that stuff is sort of like on the doorstep, right?
Yeah.
And when you're playing Star Fox games, it's usually like you are being sent out because, you know, a galactic war is happening, right? But I'd like to just slow down and be like, okay, well, like you have to come back to HQ and you get to see the city and, you know, regroup and restock and maybe recruit and go from planet to planet. Like I'd like a more slow burn sort of war.
Sure.
In the way that, like, you know, if you look at like, you know, Star Wars, a lot of the quieter moments of Star Wars is when, you know, people are just out and about trying to live their lives, and yeah, they're just, you know, it's not like their planet's being sieged at the moment or anything. It's like, you know, when Han Solo's on Tatooine and he's, you know, chilling out in the cantina, right? It's not this crazy galactic conflict that's happening to him. He's just spending a day there, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like what was the other thing that just came to mind? Did you ever watch that guy who's making that fan? I think we've shared it.
Oh, Fox in Space.
Fox in Space. And
yeah,
there's a
that.
lot of quiet moments, and not just a lot of quiet moments, but a lot of moments of like of kind of noir and intrigue, where it's like, you know, there is like a very, I mean, we're feeling it right now in real life. There's this quiet, unsettling feeling when something is at a brink of something like a war. And
yeah, things are being set up, and you know that like something big is about to happen. Yeah, Fox's Place is fantastic for the vibes, and I think one of the things that, again, it's one of the things that I think Star Fox could be really strong with if Nintendo actually decided to pull through with it, is just the whole characters, right? Just like putting stock in your characters. And
I mean, I'm happy to see
Fox
them
in
doing
Space.
that with Donkey Kong now.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like, it's definitely a far shot from like what they do with Fire Emblem, where it's like, you know, they want people to get attached to characters, so, you know, that's a big aspect of you know, characters interacting as part of the gameplay and all that stuff, right? Like, expressive characters is one thing, but like having the characters actually like have a part in dialogue and you know, being able to spend a lot of time just getting to know them, I think that's a big thing that Star Fox should be doing.
Yeah, especially when they're so rich. I want to know how Slippy's family's doing. I think Slippy has a wife now.
I mean, in Command, they do this whole thing like where it's like post story.
Yeah, are those canon at all?
In a way, no.
Oh.
It's one of those things where it's like, because there's so many endings, like I don't know if there's like canon.
Because like Falco starts his own like core, right?
Yeah, he has his own like Star Fox. He's different. And then they do this whole thing where it's like, you know, Fox and Crystal have like relationship issues and all that stuff.
Oh,
it's like
no.
This whole big old drama thing.
Hey, that's what you're asking for in your future release. You want those little, like.
Yeah, but I want that stuff more as like you know, taking part in the story and interacting with it, like sort of the same way where it's like Yakuza is so like opened up to a wide variety of emotions for the player, because there's so many things you can do to socialize. I don't want to just like have a few dialogue segments and then like an ending cutscene that shows you, oh, you got the bad ending or you got the good ending.
Sure. I mean, it could be a little more reeled in the same way that the simplicity of losing Slippy on, Macbeth means you don't have that extra help later on. Like, you want it to be a little more, I don't know if ingrained is the right word, but maybe a little more, maybe it's like you're not looking for a different end credit. You're just looking for a different gaming experience. Like you're looking for the variety. Like exactly. Like Mass Effect changing the game by making all these decision trees and conversations impact like certain aspects. Like you're looking for that more than an ending.
Exactly.
Gosh, I wanted to give Crystal these like pronounced, like upwardly pronounced like cheeks, but then well, I mean, we get to control how we would design these. I'm just trying to think of how to do her hair.
It's a weird thing because I'm having troubles like trying to grasp like drawing a fox character right now.
Yeah, like how, like, okay, so what can we do to differentiate like a fox from like a dog? And I think for me it's the ears a lot. I don't think they give Crystal pronounced enough ear. Like she looks like a wolf to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that, like, yeah, part of it's like the general Starfox style, right?
Yeah. I feel like I want her hair to be a little more like, because like, so what is her, why is she on that dino island in the first place?
If I remember, she's like hunting somebody. Like she's like a bounty hunter or something like that. I'm not sure. Again, it's like so much of it is a little hazy, right. But the general beats of it are there. It's just you just kind of forget it's Crystal's whole thing entirely.
Sure. Why is she like? Why does she have like a? Is she like some kind of royalty? Because she has like this tiara. She's also wearing like this princess. She wears that Princess Leia outfit in that first game. So like, are they trying to do like a Star War?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I feel like that's just like maybe just how she dresses. Because again, like maybe if we go back to the original reason why she, looks
like sexy right? Fox. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm actually an accountant on my planet, but I just look like this.
Yeah, but yeah, but the developers really wanted this. Okay, I really like what I'm doing with the hair right here. So I'm gonna not worry too much about the shape of the cheeks. Yeah, I want to get better at drawing more like furry characters. I would think that like working on Puppy Night would kind of give me a little more experience. But there's a big difference between like furry design and funny animal design.
Yeah.
Like Funny Animal Comics is its own like distinctive like art style. I might be a little reductive about it, but I think there's something there.
I think there is a distinction of like what your intention is, because it's like on one hand it's like, are you just drawing silly animals or are you drawing like anthropomorphic art, right? That has a distinct tie to appealing to anthropomorphic fans, right?
Yeah, and not just appealing, but I think there's also this aspect of like there's a certain like there is a fine line of like the human part of it. That comes through in the way the forms are drawn. And so, yeah, I think there is like silly animal comics, like Donald Duck is a duck, like Daffy Duck just looks like a duck.
Yeah, sometimes I think about like how interesting it is to see like how those characters are drawn, right? And then like if you try to apply the same characters but then draw them in a way that's more like this is what people think of when they think of like furry art, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're just a little bit more like humanoid, I guess, right? And I think of just how cursed it is that like Goofy would probably fit in, right? You can probably draw like something like that's Goofy, but it's drawn in that sort of anthro style. But then Donald, I think of that and that's the funniest thing ever. Just like a more human-sized Donald that just
Right.
has the all the tropes of what you think of.
Right. Well, that's I feel like I only from you I've really seen enough like anthro bird characters. I just don't feel like
it's
that's
a weird niche. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's not as common.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why I started like making characters like that, because I was like, it's not something that's like super common, right? Meanwhile, like I was seeing people have these avian OCs for the first time, and I'm like, oh wow, this is like really interesting and like really different, right? And that's sort of why I kind of picked up on it, because I wasn't seeing it anywhere else.
Yeah. Maybe it's because like beaks and bills are hard to draw in different perspectives.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, in that way, it also unlocked me to something that I became much more of a fan of, which is drawing like squid, like.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You think that came from the drawing of the beaks, or like looking for something?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it absolutely came from that, and yeah, once I got keyed into that, I was like, oh, this is like the same thing. That's cool. You can make some really cool looking characters because of that whole thing, right? So now, anytime I draw like a squid character, like I very commonly draw the squid characters, and I always have them with the beaks.
I want to give her more of a.
I need to switch over to what you got so far.
I think I've been trying to figure out the face more, but I like giving her more of like a wild kind of, maybe kind of barbarian, kind of shaggy hair. Where I think here it's a little, it looks like wet hair, but I think that's just a graphical imitation of the GameCube. Expression wise, I'm not too happy just yet. I feel like my anthro faces need a lot of work. Just because the way, well, even in humans, I'm not that great at drawing noses, and so I feel like that's a big part of like shaping how the muzzle looks on the face. Yeah, I think it looked a little better when I didn't have the eyebrows. To work on the expression more. Okay, I'm gonna work on the costume. I'm gonna look at the eyebrows again. The way her tail looks in Assault is really interesting. It looks like very very puffy in comparison to like the rest of her hair.
Yeah, she's got like a I think it's nice because it's like you look at the top of her head and it's like very spiky because of her hair like fringe, right? And then for her tail, it having sort of that rounder, more elegant texturing and like shape. It really does like, sort of build a contrast with her.
I'm gonna see if I can do something with that, because I was just gonna give her a regular foxtail, but maybe there's an element of that detail that, because like when you try to redesign something, it's trying to figure out what you want to keep that defines, that people could still recognize. Oh, this is a version of Crystal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I know when we get into the heat of drawing, I think we've been ignoring the audience, but thank you for everyone for hanging out and listening to us, shoot the shit and doing what we love, which is drawing and drawing our fan characters, our favorite characters.
Yeah, just like, it it's funny because like it's hard enough for one person to kind of sit there and just draw and like concentrate on drawing and then also be like social, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like when you also have people who are both just like completely like, oh yeah, I'm concentrating, and the other person's concentrating too.
Mm-hmm,
it's like if there's both silent at the same time, and it's like, oh.
I feel like maybe an evolution of this segment is like we actually have somebody as a commentator, like if it was like an actual deathmatch kind of scenario.
I think we're doing okay though.
Yeah, that's looking great. I think Kayla brought it up, but like your drawing of muscles and like the anatomy of the body, I think it's very distinctive to the way you draw. I have a couple of your old drawings from high school, some of your old superhero characters.
Oh, awesome. That's like an era that's really funny to me because it's like I would sketch everything out and never line art anything because I knew that it would look worse if I line art it.
Yeah, it was the I had the same thing too, where it's like I just didn't know how to use a pen yet, and so there's always that thing of like the pencils always look so much better, like, but I just realized like, oh no, you just have to learn how to use the pen.
Yeah, you have to not be scared of it,
yeah.
And just like also be completely okay with like, if it didn't work, then it's like, it's not that like, oh, the sketching was better. It's like, no, like, the whole point is that once you make it not a sketch, right? It's still supposed to have that identity. As an artist, you're still supposed to be able to bring something out of whatever you're you've sketched out, right?
Exactly.
Because that's part of the process, cleaning something up and then figuring out what what's what.
Yeah, it's finding the diamond in the rough, right?
But just like accepting that, like, oh, this was better as a sketch. It's like a little bit of a defeatism where you're not gonna get.
Yeah, I think the artwork turns into something else in the end. I mean, I when I draw traditionally, I use a light box so I can keep the pencils because I also enjoy that. Like, I agree, I enjoy that as a piece of art. Okay, one thing I do, I'm really enjoying the pose I have here. But one thing that I want to get better at, I want her expression to actually reflect the action a little better, because right now she just has this kind of blasé like look. So I need to figure out how to get her to like really like grit her teeth. Like she's like in the middle of like a maneuver here. So let's see if I can...
it's like finding the expression, especially with like the fox mouth and everything like that.
Yeah. So I'm definitely challenging myself here a bit, quite a lot actually. I hope everyone's proud of me. Mom, Dad.
It's like, you're doing great, kid. But what if the fox was sexier?
You're trying to say that in this scenario, my dad is the entire board of Nintendo in 2002.
Yeah, well, hey kid, why don't you open up a Victoria's Secret catalog and just use one of those outfits? Before going to get sushi with a Japanese businessman.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so Rare was the one developed. Rare's always been a American or English company?
I I think they're American. Stevie, fact check? I mean, fact check?
Stevie's our guy in the chair.
Yeah. There's always this, in every hotel room. There's the chair.
For the tech guy.
Yeah.
It's the tech guy chair. What else would it be?
Production.
British. Oh, I knew it.
It is British. Wow.
Also, the music stopped because I only let it loop for an hour and 20 minutes. I think we've done a great job getting engrossed in drawing. We do have to hit a point where the show has to end, folks. And yep. We have significant others that we love very much. And although we didn't finish our sexy fox drawings, I think we had a really good time. And it's really about the journey and the friends that we made on the way.
Yeah.
So Kasu,
are you...
thank you so much for being like my test subject in this, but also a great pal. Somebody that I've been drawing with for, I'd say now 15 to 18 years, which is fucking nuts.
And we've learned nothing.
And we've learned absolutely nothing. With these foxes are supposed to look. These foxes are supposed to look sexier.
Investors to satisfy.
But did you have fun? Did you like the game? Whatever this thing is.
Yeah, this is great. This is fantastic.
Cool. And then you're welcome to do it any time. Next week we're gonna have my friend Buff here. But Kasu, you're always open invitation to do this again, and I'll pick us. I might. You know what? I can even have you pick the theme. Next time. We just have to figure out how to surprise me with it with the graphics. But
yeah, and I think it'd be fantastic to do sort of like even more party chaos, right? Because I think what's interesting about this kind of layout is the fact that it's so casual, right? And we're really like sort of sitting down and drawing and talking. But, we yearn for chaos. So having even more of like a party mini game sort of set up for this would be very welcome.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that would work. Because like I definitely thought like, okay, we can have guests, people choose the theme, or maybe actually in your idea of chaos, maybe there's kind of like something like, okay, now you have to include like, I don't know, a salami like in the drawing or something to throw us off. What we'd have to do though is we'd have to figure out how to, because I only streamed for 2 hours. We went a little over, but essentially the idea being like maybe something like it'd be great to do kind of like make our own Jackbox game in the sense of like, how do we do an audience participation Jackbox game? That's definitely farther down the line. I love pie in the sky thinking, but I think there's a good idea there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. It'll be really fun.
All right, Kasu, and everybody, thank you for joining us. And I'll be back on Thursday. We're just gonna do a little more drawing, some work I have to do for the comic Strikeout, which I've been pushing off for too long. But yeah, thank you. Have a good night, Kasu. Thank you again. And
thank you for having me.
We'll do this again. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody.